Good afternoon, everyone. We will call the meeting to order for Tuesday, November 25th, the Middlesex County Council meeting. First thing I'd like to do is congratulate Chris Trainee, who was awarded the Municipal Engineers Association Order of Merit on November 13th at the 2025 MEA Annual General Meeting and Conference. The Order of Merit is the highest honor the MEA can bestow upon a member and recognizes individuals who have demonstrated exceptional service, leadership, and dedication to the field of municipal engineering in Ontario. Congratulations, Chris, and well deserved. At this time.
We acknowledge that the land we stand upon today is the traditional territory of the Attawandaron, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nation communities of this area include Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames First Nation, and Munsee Delaware Nation. We acknowledge the treaties that are specific to this area: Treaty 2 McKee Purchase, Treaty 3 Between the Lakes Purchase, Treaty 6 London Township Purchase, Treaty 21 Longwoods Purchase, and Treaty 29 Huron Tract Purchase. We value the significant contributions both in the past and the present of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island. We acknowledge historic and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples endure in Canada, and we affirm our commitment to honoring Indigenous voices, nations, and cultures, and to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect.
Marcy. At this time, provision for disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none at this time. Approval of the agenda as presented. Councillor Clark, Councillor Smybert, all in favor. Carried. And adoption of the minutes and recommendations of the committee of whole for 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, 4E, and 4F. Moved by Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Mayhew, all in favor. That is carried as well. A new business action items, and the first one is the Ontario Transit Investment Fund. I know I'm just doing this. There you are. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
With respect through the warden, I'm going to tag team with on the following three reports. So through the warden to council, the report before you today provides information on the Ontario Transit Investment Fund, otherwise known as OTIF. Middlesex County has received provincial approval through a successful application for up to $3.4 million in funding over 5 years through OTIF, supporting the continuing operation and optimization of Middlesex County Connect from April of 2025 through March 2030. OTIF covers 50% of eligible costs, with the remaining 50% funded through a combination of municipal contributions, fare revenue, and advertising, and other federal and provincial sources, such as Ontario's gas tax program, which we will also report on today. The funding covers 4 routes, including the planned integration of Strathroy-Caradoc Route number 4, as we affectionately call it, into Middlesex County Connect, commencing January of 2026. Staff has secured signed funding agreements with the City of St. Thomas and the City of Sarnia, while London's contribution is pending council approval this week. The City of Woodstock, the Town of Ingersoll, and the Town of Plimpton, Wyoming have declined financial participation in the project. The finalized OTIF transfer payment agreement with the province reflects these outcomes. Council is being asked to approve the OTIF transfer payment agreement with the province, the municipal funding agreements, and the memorandum of understanding with the municipality of Strathroy-Caradoc, and to authorize the warden and county clerk to execute all required documentations. This funding and integration will ensure the long-term stability and growth of Middlesex County Connect while expanding regional transit connections.
Thank you. Is there questions from council here? Councillor Clark.
Yes, through the warden to the director. I appreciate the report. Thank you very much. I'm just wondering, has there been any discussion around having private businesses part of this funding model?
For you, Warden, to the counselor, thank you for the question. There is certainly consideration of including private business in the funding model going forward. At this time, we'd like to solidify the general agreements with all municipal partners that have been included in the OTIF application. However, there is certainly an opportunity for us to have those discussions with private businesses and other partners as this progresses.
Thank you.
Other questions? Counselor DeVito?
Thank you, through you, Warden, to Kara. Thank you for the report. I think it's obvious, but I just want to be clear. When the municipalities or townships that declined to participate financially, that means there will be no stops or service. The two are it's corollary of the other. There's no service, or a route may go through it, I guess, but we're not picking anyone up along the way. Is that correct?
Through you, Warden, to the council member, at this time, the service will continue and those stops will still be recognized pending further discussion and consultation with those active partners and ensuring that we are optimizing ridership. So there are optimizations planned in the future. At the current time, the routes will stay as they are for this given time frame. Optimization will take place at a later date.
And thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, we'll put the recommendation. It's quite a long, so we'll put that on the screen. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Counselor Smiber, Counselor Grantham, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item 5A2, the Ontario Gas Tax Funds for Public Transit. Anna.
Through the Warden to Council. The report before you today provides information on the Ontario Gas Tax Program. The program provides ongoing provincial funding for municipalities operating transit services. Middlesex County has been confirmed eligible to apply for the 2025-2026 program year. Gas tax allocations are based on ridership and populations of the municipalities served by the transit service, and only the populations of municipalities not already receiving gas tax funding or not contributing to another municipality's transit service can be included. For Middlesex County, this includes Strathroy Caradoc, Middlesex Center, North Middlesex, Lucan Biddle, Adelaide Metcalfe, and potentially Southwold. Thames Center is currently counted under St. Mary's gas tax allocation and will need to notify St. Mary if it wishes to be included in Middlesex County's allocation. Gas tax funding allocations cannot exceed 75% of municipalities' own spending on transit. According to current gas tax guidelines, this refers to the funds contributed by the host municipality and its municipal partners towards the transit service. The estimated gas tax allocation for Middlesex County for the 2025-2026 fiscal year is approximately $115,576. Although final funding depends on the provincial envelope and updated data. To participate in the program, Council must pass a resolution confirming its commitment to the long-term funding of inter-community transit services from 2025-2026 onward. The county must also have made a financial contribution to the transit system in the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Staff will confirm as eligible municipalities whether their populations can be included. This resolution is only required once, although annual agreements and reporting will continue. The county intends to apply for these funds to help offset operating costs arising from the optimization of routes under the OTIF service plan. Funds may also be placed in reserve should they not be immediately required to offset costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, questions on this report? Councillor Brennan.
To you, Southwold Township, I see is not contributing or not hooked up with any trends. So are we going to be approaching them to get their population put in with ours to further increase our money?
Through the warden to council. Yes, we will be approaching Southwold to ask them if they would be, they would like their population to be included in our gas tax allocation.
Other questions? Seeing no other questions, we'll have a recommendation on the screen again. Mover for this recommendation, Councillor DeVito, Councillor Brennan, all in favor? That is carried. Our next one is 5A3, and that's Community Transportation Service Operator and Service Agreement.
Through you, Warden, to council. Middlesex County Connect currently operates 3 intercommunity transit routes under a month-to-month agreement with Voyago, effective until March 31st of 2026. We received OTIF funding approval for up to $3.4 million over 5 years to support continued operation and optimization of Middlesex County Connect from April 2025 to March of 2030. The funding covers 4 routes, including the integration of Strathroy-Caradoc Route 4, starting January 2nd, 2026, contingent on the execution of the OTIF agreement and a memorandum of understanding with Strathroy-Caradoc, which you have previously noted. Voyago has agreed to include Route 4 under the same terms from January to March 2026, ensuring continuity while we complete the procurement process for a long-term provider. This approach maintains operational consistency and supports the strategic goal of expanding transit service for county residents. Council is asked today to approve a bylaw to authorize the amending agreement with Voyago and to authorize the warden and county clerk to execute the agreement.
Thank you, Kara. Questions for Kara on this? No questions. We'll put the recommendation again on the screen. We have a mover, this recommendation, Councillor Grantham, Councillor Smybert, all in favor? That is carried again. Thank you. The next item is 5A4, and that is 2024 investment report. Paul.
Through you, Mr. Warden, following the completion of 2024 year end, this report just satisfies the legislative requirements, and staff are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Is there questions on this report, Council? No questions? We're looking for a motion, a mover for this report. Councillor DeVito, Councillor Mayhew, all in favor? Carried. The next one is 5A5, and that's 2025 budget
Through you, Mr. Warden,
PSAB.
the 2025 budget reconciliation to PSAB standards is something Middlesex County has done for a number of years, and it really is just a presentation of the budget for the financial statements. So we're just going through that process in advance of 2025 year end. So this walks you through and outlines how that's done. Staff are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there questions on this report? We're moving along pretty quick here. No questions. We have a recommendation in front of us. What's your wish? Moved by Councillor Mayhew, second by Councillor Smybert. All in favor? That one's carried. Our next one is 5A6, Middlesex County Archives feasibility study. Councillor McMillan?
I apologize, Warden. I forgot to turn myself on. I'd like to start off by reading the motion, if I might. Whereas Middlesex County has a long history of community interest in the establishment of a county archives to preserve both public and private records of enduring value. And whereas council has previously received delegations and staff reports identifying matters pertaining to archives and archival preservation. And whereas the council recognizes the importance of establishing clear fiscal and operational parameters to guide future decision-making, now therefore be it resolved that one, staff be directed to include a Middlesex County Archives feasibility in the 2026 budget for council consideration. And two, the feasibility study include the following parameters. One, inventory and assessment of existing archival services and resources available within Middlesex County. For example, municipal records, practices, libraries, heritage organizations, museums, and private collections. Governance and delivery model options, standalone county service, partnership with external institutions, hybrid approaches, or digital archive alternatives. Capital requirements, including facility needs, retrofits, or digital infrastructure investments. Operating costs and resource implications, including staffing, integration with records management, and ongoing preservation requirements. Opportunities for external funding and partnerships, including provincial and federal grants and collaborations with local institutions. Risk assessment, including long-term storage, access, and sustainability considerations. Comparative review of archival service delivery models in other upper-tier municipalities. Assessment of status quo considerations with no Middlesex County archive service model. So just a little further in comments about this. This has been, I understand from past history, been brought forward to council before. But as our society moves towards a more digital environment, I still believe that there is a good case for preserving our history. And we have very few facilities, and Middlesex County has nothing over and above individual municipalities that have some. So I would ask council to consider this motion.
Thank you, Councillor. So you're making this a motion?
I am.
And do we have a seconder for that? Councillor DeVito?
If I just may,
Absolutely. We'll have discussion when we get a second. Are you seconding it?
I will second that.
Okay, then go ahead.
I'm going to second this, and I want to thank the individuals who reached out with their thoughts, ideas, concerns, and hopes and wishes for a project like this. I would echo Councillor McMillan's comments. It has been before us in previous terms, but this is an exhaustive list of options that might be considered. We need to have all of the information. We need to have the data. We need to understand what the costs are. We have to understand how to scale and how to use new technologies. So I think this is a good time to do that. And that was the grounds for my thoughts on seconding, and I'm totally comfortable. We need to have this discussion.
Thank you, Councillor. So other comments on it? Councillor Clark.
Thank you. I have several questions, I guess. First of all, in principle, I think it's quite interesting, and on the from 10,000 feet above the earth, it sounds like a good idea. I guess, I'd like to see a business case first, and this feasibility study would provide some context around that. So I think that would be a worthwhile exercise, and I would support this motion for that reason, to say, okay, if we're even considering this, what's the business case around it? And what are the operating costs ongoing? And it lists a myriad of things there. So I appreciate that. A couple of questions. The first one is through the warden to the Director of Economic Development and Tourism. Are you able to cite any examples whereby such an undertaking would be part of economic development, or does it exist in other counties where they partner together? Maybe you could speak to that.
Through the warden to the counselor, thank you for the question. It is certainly my expectation that through a feasibility, we would identify cases in which there is a county based museum and archival asset base. Some of those examples will show management by a heritage society or independent group. There would also be some examples that exist in Ontario of situations in which a municipality has those assets as part of its tourism strategy.
And I've got a couple more if that's okay. Just by a show of hands around the horseshoe, how many people have an archive of sorts in their own municipalities? Okay, thank you. And do any of those have any artifacts, given that we have First Nation communities in Middlesex County? Does anybody know that? Sorry, I'm just wondering. Strathroy does? Okay, thank you. So there may be some opportunity there as well. And do we know what the cost, the proposed cost of this study would be at this time?
You, Mr. Warden, not at this time. We'd need to throw together the entire RFP based on the motion and then put it out. And to be honest, if this goes forward, it'd be staff recommendation to budget committee to fund from reserves the study, just because the budget's already been posted. But it seems like a reasonable approach that staff would amend following the direction of council.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Mayhew.
Thank you, Warden Ropp. I've visited the Lambton County facility, and I've also extensively visited the St. Thomas communities as well in their fields. My concern is being a fan of history. I've written 2 books on history. The sustainability of many of our historical societies are in question. In terms of Southwest Middlesex, I don't see younger members coming forward, or new members coming forward. And I'm concerned that there must be a home for the inventories of these facilities that are dotted throughout Middlesex County. I don't think the problems that the Glencoe Historical Society are facing are much different than any other municipality in terms of membership and client base, funding, things of that nature, and ours is quite successful. So in view of the motion forward, I support it on the grounds that I think we need a safety net, and that a great resource of historical information may be lost if we don't come up with a plan. In terms of cost, that's an issue for me as well. Just as Councillor Kark has mentioned, the funding of it, very often we have to make choices at County Council of where our money goes. It's not inexhaustible, but I think the best place to start is a study and put forth an RFP out, and I look forward to the return, but I do support the motion.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other? Councillor McGuire?
Thank you, Warden. My thoughts, I support the motion in principle. I guess what I'm thinking is around the table with our staff, so not around this table, but our staffing table, is there expertise that we can call upon from staff? So I guess my question is to this, Mr. CAO, is there expertise there, and is there ability, timing wise, to help with gathering this information? I suspect a lot of the information that is going to be garnered may be coming from the people we see sitting in our gallery today, because they're here for a reason. They support all of this, and they probably know where a lot of the stuff is. Is there a way to expedite this and bring this forth? Consultants can be very expensive, and having received a whole bunch of consultant reports in the last 3 years plus, many of them get shelved because they don't answer the actual question that we have in our minds. Either it's not expressed correctly, or it's too broad scoped. So I'm just wondering if staff can help pull it together, I'll leave it there.
Through Mr. Warden, I think some great points there. I would say Councillor McMillan did approach staff and staff assisted in drafting the resolution following a comprehensive review. So Middlesex County has a very long history of considering archives dating back all the way to prior to the 2000s. So after looking that entire history and sort of the challenges that the process underwent, we thought this was the best way to conduct a once and for all sort of objective study with like a landscape analysis across the province to look at the various options in consultation with all of the groups within the county, you know, not just one or two, with all of them. So that's the thought of that wider spread engagement. So you're getting a number of perspectives. And then from expertise on staff, you know, obviously we're not archivists, but a lot of us deal with records in our roles. And I look around the room and there'd be people involved. But at this point in time, if you ask staff, I think this is one of those where retaining a consultant to kind of be that objective lens to do that is likely in the best interest of all parties, just because of that really long history of not really getting there. So once and for all, you'll have a plan to assess a number of options. And that specifically gets to, I think, a point a number of councillors have mentioned is the cost, like an objectively identified cost associated with service delivery across a number of options. So in this instance, we do think this is the best way forward. So a consultant that will work closely with staff here and then conduct comprehensive engagement to report back. But all of your points are well taken in regards to sometimes how those studies end up.
Councillor Smiber.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond to Councillor Clark's question with respect to if we do have archives in our municipalities. That's a really interesting question because some have really formalized institutions and some do not. So we should know the answer, but sometimes we don't because it's so fragmented. So I do support the plan because I think a lot of good things are already happening with respect to archives within the county. But I think there needs to be some additional support and resources to put that together. And how can we move forward until we have a plan? So again, I'm very much looking forward to that and hoping that together we can move the archives program forward in Middlesex County.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Councillor May.
Thank you, Brian Ropp. I think the argument made to include a digital format compared to an actual document. We can archive digitally at a very competitive cost, but there is something special about holding a 200-year-old document in your hand. It gives you something that a digital format on your screen does not. But I'm sure the study, our CEO will vouch for that option will be available, digital versus a housed record as well.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Any other comments from councillors? I would just add to that to what Councillor McMillan said in the beginning was they've come before us more than once, but we don't have answers and we don't have enough answers to it. And I absolutely support this motion to send this through the budget and to go forward and do this and find out what we don't know. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, we have a motion. Do we need it on the screen? It is a long motion. Councillor read it out, but we're going to put it on the screen just to make sure everybody understands. All right, it's in front of you. Do we have a mover for that? It has been moved by Councillor McMillan and been seconded by Councillor Lee. All in favor? That is carried. Our next is in all right, our next item is inquiries. Is there any inquiries on the floor? Notices of motion? Seeing none. Councillor comments and other business. Councillor Grantham. We'll just give everyone a second. All right, we'll give the gallery a chance. Okay, Counselor Grantham.
Thank you, Warren. Just an announcement to all of council this Monday, December 1st at 11 a.m. is the grand opening of the new Strathroy Central Fire Station. It's a long time coming, so on behalf of the Deputy Mayor McGuire, Councilor McGuire, and all of Strathroy, I invite everyone to attend if possible. Thank you.
Any other comments? Other business? Seeing none, committee of a whole. Moved by Counselor Brandon, seconded by Counselor Smiber. All in favor? Carried. No delegations, so action items. The first one is 9C1, public service policy, and then
Thank you, Warden, through you to council. This is the county's first consolidated public service policy that sets consistent standards for how we respond to residents, businesses, and community partners. This policy is intended to apply to all staff interactions with the public, whether by phone, email, in person, or online, ensuring that these interactions are handled respectfully, efficiently, and in line with legislation and best practices. Overall, this policy strengthens consistency, accountability, and continuous improvement in our service to the community and supports strategic plan priority number 4 to increase the county's administrative adaptability and agility. Rebecca and I would be happy to answer any questions.
questions on this report? Seeing none, we need a mover for this report. Counselor DeVee, second by Counselor Mayhew. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And our next one is 9C2 and the Budget Committee terms of reference.
Thank you, Warden, through you to council. So the Budget Committee is set to meet on December 10th, 2025 to review the draft budget. Historically, we have not had terms of reference for the Budget Committee, but we are required to have them under our procedural bylaws, so we are bringing these forward for council's consideration. The proposed terms of reference formalize the county's past practice of having the Budget Committee review and provide input on the draft budget and then making a recommendation to County Council for final approval. The composition of the committee also reflects past practice and includes the warden, deputy warden, and 2 members of County Council. I will note that depending on the results of the warden's election on Thursday, we may require an appointment to the committee. So we will do that if needed at our December 9th meeting. And we are recommending approval of the terms of reference as presented and happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council on this? No questions? We need a mover. Counselor Mayhew, Counselor McMillan, all in favor? That is carried. Speed limit bylaw. And Chris, that's yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warren. I'll be fairly brief on these. This is our sort of biannual review of speed limits. These are a few that we've received some questions about from the public and also just from our internal reviews with regards to development along county roads. You see we reviewed 4 in this report. Essentially, Glendon Drive between Kilworth and Kamoka is growing at leaps and bounds. We have the roundabout now under full operation complete. So we're recommending to drop the speed limit across the whole section down to 50. It goes between 50 and 70 and back down to 50, but this is the appropriate time to have a consistent speed limit through that section of Middlesex Center. Elsa Craig is another area where we're seeing continued growth to the south of the village, and we're just extending the 50 km/h zone, which is recommending the extension of that 50 km/h zone about 400 meters south of where it currently sits. The other one we did a review is in Avon. We had a citizens group come forward and asking for some improvements to road safety. Staff reviewed, found that the 50 km/h zone was actually in town, so we're recommending that get moved about 100 meters out of town. And then a spot where we had some challenges with reports of speeding drivers, and this is just as you enter Dorchester coming from the city of London. There was a request to push the 50 km/h speed limit further outside of the village, but where it sits right now is well outside a developed area already, and we certainly will be advocating to the OPP to provide additional enforcement to help slow vehicles using enforcement as a mechanism there, because moving the 50 km/h speed limit even further out of town is likely to have little to no effect on driver behavior. So those are the 4 recommendations for now, and be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Counselor Grantham.
Warden, through you, first, I'm going to start by apologizing to the director. I usually get my questions in advance. This one I didn't. It's somewhat related. Speed limit. as you know, I had talked about automated speed enforcement. That's gone by the wayside, but if I recall correctly, the province has offered funds towards calming measures. Is there anything on, I hate to use the term radar, but is there anything on your radar screen to look at those funds for calming measures?
Yeah, through the warden to Councillor Grantham, great question. Again, that just came down into my inbox. I've been away for a week, so it's just something I've been looking at over the last day or so. Certainly some opportunities for us to look at some enhancement to roadside signage and some other safety improvements that we can do. And we'll have a look at what's included in that fund and come back to council with a more fulsome report in the near future.
Thank you. Other questions? Councillor Smiver.
Thank you. Just a question with respect to the Hamilton Road and the Dorchester site. I understand that there's not buildup of residential in that area. I think the concern though stems from the sportsplex or the baseball field that's located on Hamilton Road. Does that factor, Chris, into any considerations in terms of reducing the speed limit?
Yeah, through the warden to Councillor Smybert, that area there, we've been watching that for a while. I mean, it's fairly set back, but with the golf course there, and of course, there's some potential additional residential development kind of infilling around that side of the village. We're continuing to watch that area. Certainly at this point, it's still sort of far enough away. Drivers don't really have a visual influence from that development just because of where it is, but we're watching that area. It's on our radar for that section. Again, it kind of, the road comes down and gets by the river, and then there's a naturalized environmentally protected area through there. So it likely drivers will speed up or else the speed limit when they get past the fields. But again, a challenging location, but I think OPP enforcement through there will certainly help to change driver behavior right now.
Other questions from council? Seeing no other questions, we have a recommendation that'll be in front of us. We have a mover for that recommendation, Councillor Grantham, Councillor McMillan, all in favor. That is carried. The next one is the award of tender MC 2025-14, the EMS Waterloo Station renovations. Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. It's a good news story. As you can see here, a ton of interest in the phase 2 renovations for the Waterloo Street EMS station. Phase 1 is complete. A lot of additional work in phase 1, as we anticipated with an older building, but certainly getting into some of the core challenges you have with any old building, bringing it up to modern standards. Small challenges, some asbestos, and of course plumbing, electrical, all that work's all been completed at this stage. So this phase 2 is covering off the garage where the ambulances are parked and stationed, some storage in that area, and then the paramedic facilities, which are in dire need of upgrade. You can see we had a great turnout for bids, and you can see the range here. Staff is recommending Tradition Construction, who actually completed phase 1 of the renovations, as the lowest compliant tender to be accepted as part of this report. And you can see we are also trying to strike while the iron is hot and interest is high to move forward with phase 3 as quickly as possible. So phase 3 is essentially the facade and the exterior of the building. The desk really needs an upgrade. There's some security issues there we're trying to deal with as well. We're trying to do a whole fulsome look at the exterior of the building, creating a small sort of outdoor amenity area for our paramedics to be able to utilize, and also sort of create a more welcoming facade of the building. Matter had submitted us a proposal for the architectural design of $42,000, which is included in this report for approval. You can see at the top of page 170 of the report where we are with total construction costs, including architectural fees. We're below half of what we estimated as part of the cost recovery under the lease agreement with MLPS for this building. We estimate about $3 million. So we're, after phase 2, we'll still have more than half of that amount left for us to do, to utilize, not only now, but through the term of the lease agreement. So you'll see there's 5 recommendations here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the project.
Thank you, Chris. Questions for Chris on this? No questions? It is a good news story. As you said, it doesn't happen often where we have that much of a surplus from what we set aside. And I do agree, there's the opportunity for phase 3 to go to keep going, right? To get it finished up. It's been a while now. And so I like that idea. Is there any other questions? If not, we'll get the recommendation on the screen. We have a mover for that. Councilor Mayhew, Councilor McMillan, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Well, the next one is award of request for tender for T1, T6, 2025, supply and delivery of 2 trucks with combination dump and spreader boxes. Chris.
I'll be very brief, Mr. Warden. This is for 2 triaxle trucks complete with our snowplow equipment. We have a low bid from, what's our recommendation here? Excuse me, from Premier Truck Group Limited in London for $891,928 for both trucks. And we have to answer any questions.
Questions for Chris on this? No questions on this one. We have a recommendation in front of us. Or it will be. Moved by Councilor Smiber, second by Councilor DeVite. All in favor? Carried. And we have one more truck.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. Very brief again. This is for a tandem complete with our snowplow equipment. $403,815 from Premier Truck Group of London, as per the attached quote summary for a Freightliner. And again, happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Chris on this one? No questions? I did have one, and that is, it's more of a question on just, and I know this is the cheapest tender that came in. My question is, and I guess Josh would be involved with this with procurement as well. If we ever thought about trying the other brand to see how that stands up to the Freightliners and the Internationals, but like to the Western Stars, it's about $30,000 more, but with maintenance and with repairs, $30,000 gets eaten pretty quick in a tandem. So I just wonder if there's any thought at looking at that, of trying it, or do we have some of those already in stock to know?
Yeah, through the warden to respond to the warden's question. Certainly, council has the ability to vary from our purchasing policy. Of course, Josh and I prepare the reports, and our staff from the roads will help out that as well. And take the lowest compliant bid when we're getting putting out a quotation RFP for supply of vehicles or equipment. There is the ability for, of course, council to vary from that. If there is a desire, my recommendation would be, I would say, if there's a desire to try out different types of equipment, Josh and I can certainly change the terms of the RFP to give us more choice with regards to what equipment we choose to bring into the fleet. This year, because we have different suppliers for these different trucks, it would be more difficult for us to recommend that we vary from one to the other, but we certainly can come back to council with a different way of purchasing this equipment if we wanted to start to bring different types of equipment into the fleet. And there may be better ways for us to acquire those vehicles as opposed to going through a competitive RFP process. We may be able to use other mechanisms to bring in specific pieces of equipment for us to evaluate the performance as part of the county fleet.
Sorry, I'm not opposed to this recommendation. I'm just thinking of in the future. Other questions? Councilor DeVite.
If this is offside, feel free to shut me down. We're just going down another path. I have some experience in this area. And one of the things that might need to be considered is to the extent that we have, whether we do work in-house or whether we do work out-house, right? The inventory of parts and all those other things, the availability of those, depending on, it might be a bigger assessment project to determine what the values are. I know there are people who swear by one and not the other because you just can't count on those things, or you can. So it might be, staff might want to take a deeper dive and present an integrated look in terms of how does that roll in this way.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, that's why I'm just throwing it out there. Can we do better? Like it's worth always looking at, right? Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a recommendation that's coming in front of us. We have a mover for this recommendation. Councilor Grantham, Councilor Mayhew, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. The next one is 9C7 Trossachs Paramedic Station. And Chris, that's yours as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Warden. I'll try to be brief. It's a bit of a lengthy report and the lease agreement is attached for your review, but I'd be happy to answer any questions about specifics of the report. I think in a broad sense, just to remind council, staff was given direction and a budget of an upset budget of 1.5 million to investigate the potential purchase of the Trossachs station from the current owner and investigate renovations to bring the building up to our current standards for paramedic station. We're happy to report we're able to acquire the building for $900,000 plus some legal fees. It's closing in the middle of the next month. And we're moving forward with the finalization of the design for the renovations for the building. We have a quotation from Matter for architectural, mechanical, electrical design services, not just by subconsultants for about $49,900 plus HST, with potentially some additional structural engineering allowances of $8,900. It's anticipated that that still will bring us well below the $1.5 million, and that includes the purchase of the building and the cost of the actual renovations themselves. So we're anticipating to have tender-ready drawings imminently once this has been approved, and we'll move forward with this quickly. As I said, with the Waterloo Street Station, the marketplace is quite hungry right now to get into this type of work, so we're anticipating to have very competitive pricing if we can get this out on the street fairly quickly. So there's a number of recommendations here with regards to the lease agreement between MLPS and the county for leasing of the building, approving the quotation from Matter Architectural Studio for the engineering and architectural design of the improvements of the station, and then to proceed with the procurement of the renovation services as per our normal practice through the procurement department with engineering assistance. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thanks, Chris. Questions for Chris on this? Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, Warden, and through you to the county engineer. Does the purchase price include closing costs? I may have missed that, Chris, so.
Yeah, thank you through the warden to Councillor McMillan. I think we anticipate about $6,000 in closing costs on top of it.
Other questions? No other questions at this time. We have a recommendation that's coming for us. Is there a mover for that? Councillor McMillan and Councillor Smibert, all in favor? That is carried. Thanks, Chris. The next one is the Q3 performance report. Paul, I believe you're doing that.
To you, Mr. Warden, attached for council's review is the Q3 performance report, updated format where we present revenue and expenditure by service area. Within this report, we also do a bit of heavy lifting about how capital was historically presented, what we did to clean up sort of and close out some works in progress at 2024 year end, and then how capital projects will be reported on a go forward basis. So a lot to digest here, and then just this is sort of a little seed we'll plant for the future. There's an outstanding request of county council to identify if it's valuable to continue putting payables on the agenda. And our thought process is we'll come back on that, but once everyone gets satisfied with reliable quarterly variance reports and that sort of level of reporting, then we can review that. But we'd like to sort of demonstrate that with the Q3 and the 2025 year end, so Q4 report, and then start off fresh in 2026 with that. Notwithstanding all that, happy to answer any questions you may have about the report generally. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Questions for Paul on this? No questions? All right, we have a recommendation in front of to accept this report for information. Councillor Smibert, Councillor DeVitt, all in favor? Carried. The next we have correspondence and information items, but I think I'll do, because of the payables, I'll do 9D1 to 9D15. Is there any questions or comments on those? And after this, I'll kind of list them individually because there's more to talk about. No questions on those first 15? Okay, 9D16. Anything there? Sorry, Dirk.
Thank you. Very briefly through the warden. It was just wanted to, we just wanted to circle back with council because this is a information report on a direction that you gave staff previously. This is a decision of a local committee of adjustment that council did in the end direct staff to take that matter to the Ontario Land Tribunal. And if you'll recall, the issue in short was it was an application for a resident surplus to a farming operation, but there was not a residence in existence on the property. So the tribunal did hear a contested hearing. The county solicitor was involved and Dan Fitzgerald from the planning office was also involved. The OLT did support the county's position and such that the application was denied. So I just wanted to circle back to council based on your previous direction on that.
Any questions for Dirk on that? Seeing none. D17, Bill 60. Dirk, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you. And I'll be very brief on this again. As you know, the province is very active on the housing front in the last number of years, and the last 30 days is no different. They have proposed Bill 60, and Abby Huddle-Jacobs of our office put together a kind of a summary report that's in there. There's also a number of notices on other items that are in the agenda too. They're proposing a number of changes, both in Bill 60 and then that, for instance, related to streamlining official plans. There's some positive items there I would submit, such as community improvement plans and changing what counties can do so that all counties effectively could participate. So I think there's some opportunities there. At the same time, on Friday, they did also put in place, as of right, 10% minor variance setbacks. That is now no longer will have to go to local council. So that one item was put in place on Friday. They're consulting on a number of other minor variants as of right opportunities. So there's a little bit of confusion in the public as to what's been put in place, what they're consulting on. There are also, and this is in your agenda also, they are proposing significant changes to conservation authorities, both creation of a province-wide sort of authority, and then the combination of all conservation authorities into, I think, only 7. They're also making changes to development charges and a number of other regulations. So all that to say, there's a lot going on right now. It's a bit hard to keep up. We are trying and on your behalf are submitting some comments as opportunities are available, but it's a fairly short comment window that the province has established right at the end of the year here. So we are working on that. And all this at the same time, we're still working on the last round, which is updating the county's official plan to match the previous changes. And you'll recall that there's an open house tonight, a virtual open house for the public tonight. And then at your next meeting will be a statutory public meeting for the county's official plan amendment, which then we would be asking council to hear from the public at the next meeting and then consider in the new year and probably January, February. So I just wanted to sort of highlight that. I think you're certainly seeing some of that in the media, and you're probably getting the emails from the minister and others that there's a fair amount going on.
Thank you, Dirk. I will say that we discussed the conservation areas on the new map, and I know at North Mid, we're on that one that goes all the way up to Thunder Bay. It's ridiculous, but anyways. Councillor McGuire.
Just a question for the director. I see the news yesterday is reporting that Ontario passed Bill 60. Is there still consultation going on, or is this news to you?
I'm not aware that they passed Bill 60. I think I know there was an announcement on Bill 17 that they did the regulations related to it, but I'll have to double check.
Honestly, I read it this morning. I just
Yeah.
looked again, and that's the headline of the news.
Okay.
So, interesting if they're still saying that they want consultation and they've already passed it.
I will say that if I may through the warden, it wouldn't be the first time that they have an ERO posting for a certain period of time, and sometimes just based on their schedule, they do pass the legislation prior to the closing of the consultation.
Thank you. Other questions? Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, Warden. From correspondence I received just around the lunch hour, it looks like the bill was passed. There's correspondence to heads of council from Minister Flack. But in addition to that, I just wanted to ask too, will the County of Middlesex be commenting on the Conservation Authority situation right now? Because one of the things that is concerning me is that with this revamping of 36 CAs into just 7. It's a very, very broad area, like the warden has mentioned. I know that the area served by Kettle Creek and around that sort of area goes, like it's huge, it's the Lake Erie area. What concerns me is that as municipalities, we are not going to have very much say. Because if they go by what they're already talking about, they will be appointing members to these boards. Qualifications are very different from people sitting around a horseshoe in a municipality. We will still, as I understand it, and I recognize that there's a lot of talk around this, we will, as communities, still be required to pay. We will not necessarily have a voice in what's going on. So hence my question, will the county of Middlesex, on behalf of all of us, be commenting on any of this?
To the warden, if I may, maybe one quick statement and then an answer. I would say generally staff, and there have been pinch points over the years with conservation authorities. I think we are like they do a lot of good work. There's a lot of need, and our local conservation authorities have not only there's that regulatory part that sometimes is that people can be critical of, but they do a lot of good programs in terms of soil management and reforestation, et cetera. So they've done a lot of good work in the county. In terms of if council would like to direct staff to provide comments, we certainly can. Historically, the decision of county council has been to primarily leave that to local councils rather than county council, because it's local councils that appoint members to the conservation authority boards, but we're certainly in your hands.
But this is at a different level that they're doing here, changing it down to 7. I think I agree with you, Councillor, that it would maybe time for Middlesex County to make a comment to that. But so we'd need a motion, I guess, for that. No, just direction.
You, Mr. Gordon. I'm comfortable with staff direction if the clerk says that's okay and county council is okay with that. I think I'd just add when the news came out, we also reached out to our CAs to just offer them support on a go forward basis as we go through this before the actual consultation was outlined. But absolutely, it's something I think the team can put together a submission for county council on if that's generally the way you'd like to go.
Is that the wish of council? Yes, it looks like yes. Councilor McGuire.
So what are we directing staff's voice to be?
More direction. Go ahead, Councilor McGuire.
Thank you, Warden. From where I'm sitting is that because of the fact that so many municipalities are going to be collected in this one voice, I do have specific concerns. One, for example, is the pooling of assets. I'm not sure how that's going to work for the conservation authorities. The ones that have land donated to them, there will probably be some hesitancy to expand that program. There are a number of things that I think that over a period of time, maybe, and I know that this isn't all fleshed out, but there may be times when it does have an impact on us as the county of Middlesex. I'm at the disposal of the county, but if there could be some type of commenting with some of these issues in support of some of the CAs in our area, I think that would be appreciated by the boards.
Okay, thank you. Mine are more general and a lack of protection, people making sure that the protection's still there. Paul.
Through you, Mr. Warden, just generally when staff approach a environmental registry or a regulatory posting, generally we try to assess that objectively and just assess the impacts that the information put forward or that's not put forward, sort of the gray areas, the unintended consequences. We don't try to comment from a perspective of it's inherently good or it's inherently bad, because we obviously want to work with government in anything they put forward. We just try to identify the potential consequences of what's said or not said. and then submit that to ensure it's considered.
Councilor McGuire.
So and I guess I'm just trying to summarize Councillor McMillan, so I understand what it is that, I'd be voting on. We want to maintain, or we'd like the government to maintain a municipal collaboration with councils so that the councils continue to have input into this process, whether it's 36 or 7 groups, but that the municipality level maintains input into the process, either by appointing people to a board or being at the table.
Yeah,
Is that what we're getting at?
when we discussed it at the lower tier, it was more a concern that protectionism of the land, of the water, of everything else is lost due just to the size. And things happen without knowledge more than what they do now, because who's looking after it? It's such a large area. And I think that's where we are going to meet at the local with our conservation authority to discuss with them. But that's much of the concerns were at ours.
If I may, Your Warden. So again, we're asking to provide direction, but I just want to know specifically, what is the direction you're asking me to consider? And so I'm still not 100% sure, and that somebody can put it together for me.
So the direction that we're giving, and it is pretty vague. I mean, it's finding out more information about it and what's going to be, to me, it's what are we going to lose? I don't know what we're going to gain. I'd like to know that too. But I think there has to be more information come to us as what's going to happen. Yeah. Councillor DeBeat.
I'm trying to formulate things in my brain as well. And I was just thinking, so we pay dues to 5 conservation authorities. And I mean, I know we have members that sit on that one, and yes, around the horseshoe. And if the government's making changes, maybe the point of this conversation is that we all share boundaries and watersheds. Maybe we don't all pay to all of them, but if we take a county view of this and ask the questions, then we can sort of filter things down to our staff and so forth too. And it's like, is it taking you just a higher up lens about what our county might need and make sure that each of our municipalities, because the awareness of what others are doing may not be, transmitted to everybody, because they're usually only seeing with this group of people. I think an integrated approach or sharing of information, common communication, so that we're all on the same page. Is that where we're kind of trying to go?
It's through the warden. I think so. I think the overriding thing that concerns me is that it appears from the legislation that's been proposed that we will lose a voice. So I'm not going to make it a hill to die on if it's not appropriate for the county of Middlesex to comment on this individually, then, I mean, as a body, we can certainly do it in our municipalities, but I just wanted to broach the idea of sort of that concerted voice. So it's entirely at the will of council and staff.
If there's a desire for a motion, we can put some language on the screen that maybe brings some clarity. But maybe Councillor.
Yeah, just had a question I'm going to
Councillor
ask
Smith.
our AMO representative. Is this something that your association is working on?
That was what I was just going to mention, that these conversations, as soon as this legislation, well, I was on the line with our Oxford County representative. Marcus and I were chatting on the weekend, and we were talking to Robin, who's the president, and saying, is this coming forward? And it was coming to the executive team. I no longer sit on the executive, and our board meeting is coming up. So this will be a conversation, I imagine. And if I just may, to your point, Councillor McMillan, it maybe makes more sense to have someone from the county who can report and filter things down as opposed to hoping that we each get representation on any number of boards that we may or may not sit on. So anyways, I'll stop there. I think we,
You do have a motion.
Yes, we'll just put it up on the screen one moment.
What's council's wish? So are you moving that? Okay, moved by Councilor Millen, seconded by Councilor Grantham. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. There's nothing else on that? Okay. D18, and that is the County Governance and Administration Center.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Warden. I'll just be brief. This is, again, I'm just look for input. If anybody wants to provide any commentary, even after the meeting, just shoot me an email. But Paul and Marcy and I put together this framework for a monthly update on what's going on with the county administration building. From a general sense, I attend bi-weekly meetings and things are coming along. I actually went down there just out of curiosity on the way back from vacation, and the stairwells and the elevator shaft they're popping out of the ground now. They're getting some of the backfill done, so I anticipate next week we'll see a little bit more action there. Again, we're at a bit of a pinch point where once we see the walls come up, that place will be swarming with subcontractors doing electrical, plumbing, everything under the sun. So we're really at an exciting time for the project. But we wanted to give this report, put it in front of council and to the public if they have any questions. Of course, we update our website. Please have a look. I post new pictures once a month. I think we highlight between 8 and 12 pictures a month to show what's going on right now. And of course, the renderings are still there for people to have a look at if they're curious what the final product's going to look like. I think the thing I would draw your attention to is page 293. It's Appendix A to this report. We're trying to keep a close track on any changes to the project as we go forward, and specifically about cost savings. We're continually working with Matter and Bearville Construction to look for potential cost savings. You can see already we're $55,000 on the good side of that. We're reducing costs without compromising the quality of the structure. Just looking for alternative suppliers in some cases, trying to avoid some tariff issues. Anything we can and will do to, continue to maintain a project up to Middlesex County standards, but be mindful of the cost of the taxpayer. We're trying to provide that as an additional service, and we'll continue to update this spreadsheet for this report on a monthly basis as the change orders come through. And again, if there's anything else you'd like to see in the report, we give you the summary of that spreadsheet that we is in the original report when council approved the project, and just some commentary about what's been happening for the last month or so on the site. So with that, questions about the project right now, happy to answer those. Otherwise, we'll be providing this update once more.
Any questions for Chris on this? Seeing none, we'll go on to D19, and that is the order proposal, request for proposal on the tourism signage strategy. Kara, that's yours.
Through you, Warden, to council, just briefly, the existing tourism signage strategy, which includes wayfinding as well as community identification signage, was put in place in 2013 with effectiveness in 2014 in consultation with our engineer and as well as our tourism operators, as well as members of council over the course of the last few years. We've determined that this strategy requires an overhaul. In that case, we have gone to RFP with this. The RFP has been awarded, and the launch meeting for this project will take place starting this week and commence through until the end of January. We are aligning this with other wayfinding requests of local municipalities that are intended for 2026. And we work together with all of our partners to ensure that this is something that they see as being effective with.
Thank you. Any questions for Kara on this? Counselor Grantham?
Yeah, thank you, Warden, through you to Kara. Does this mean there's a possibility current signs could be replaced, or that's essentially what this means, right?
Absolutely. The intention would be that we will inventory and review all signs that were included in the tourism signage strategy. This includes the community identification signs, all of the grassroots tourism signs that you see throughout the communities, as well as those that identify operators or destinations on the route.
Okay, so I see Councillor Mayhew's not here, but coming into Melbourne, there's a sign that could potentially be replaced.
Through you,
Thank you.
Warden, to the councillor. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Kara on this report? Seeing none, we'll go on to D20, and that's combined notice of public open house. Anything there? Nothing there. 21, letter from the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Middlesex, 22, Middlesex London Health Unit Report. D23, letter from the Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Infrastructure. 24, Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks. 25, Upper Thames Conservation Authority Statement of nothing there. 26, letter from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. 27, letter from the Township of Adelaide Metcalfe. Councillor Clark, you go first.
Sure, thank you, through the warden. So you've all had time to read this request for consideration to expand the eligibility of the current county loan program. Because the smaller municipalities need financial assistance for reports and studies and to do the planning work that is necessary to advance employment lands towards site readiness. And by way of background, Middlesex County issued a call to action to local municipalities in response to the ongoing challenges of tax diversification, particularly the need to expand industrial and commercial assessment. And as most of you know, or all of you should know, the county's recent modernization in 2024 of the current loan program, at the time, it was changed to just cover investments in public utility infrastructure, wastewater, and water. And although that's useful and we appreciate it, it doesn't advance the potential employment lands to site readiness. So I respectfully ask that the council direct staff to work with the local municipalities quickly to consider Adelaide and Metcalfe's request and to report back to council, as Adelaide Metcalfe is in a position early in the new year to release a request for proposal to undertake some studies and reports for our industrial land project. If Adelaide Metcalfe had greater financial capacity, we could get more done quicker in 2026. So, and it would be nice to have consistent and predictable funding. I have some ideas percentage-wise if you wanted to look at something like that, but we'll just, the general ask is on the floor now, so.
Thank you, Warden, and through you, I held back my question regarding the investment money. So my first question to the CAO is, this money comes from the, remind me where this pool of money came from.
Through you, Mr. Warden. Well, the loan program exists for a long period of time, generally out of general reserves, since my finance folks aren't here to correct me on this. And then with the disposition of county land, that has voided that as well and created an opportunity for additional funds.
Okay, so then my follow-up and the question I held back, the investment funds that we have, would it be possible to open up a separate pool of money using some of those funds, or are they available to be reinvested in industrial land?
To you, Mr. Warden, I think if I can make some general comments and try to answer that. with the will and direction of council, we're able to do pretty much anything you tell us to in accordance with the Municipal Act. I would say at the local CA or at the county CAO's meeting, we did discuss this, and the Adelaide Metcalfe CAO was kind enough to have a discussion beforehand on this. So I think in alignment with what Councillor Clark said, if it's referred back to staff, we can have a quick consultation about what like adding a tranche or another stream to the program would look like, what caps would look like, and how many components of that could be taken out at one time. And I think we're balancing facilitating investment in land, in industrial land versus direct investment, which, you know, I'll just say off the hop at this point in time, you just don't have the funds to do to that level that would be required. So maybe this is a great avenue between a loan and a grant where you could do a certain amount of money within those investments without within those reserves without negatively impacting your investments and the returns. So I think we could come back with what another stream in that program looks like for your council consideration. And then just, I think, trying to address more what you said there directly about like investment directly by county in employment lands. That would have to be a separate sort of conversation and some direction and analysis on that. And just like the initial hot take is, you know, we don't currently deliver water wastewater services, which are key to these. And also we don't have land. So there'd be a significant either partnership or investment required, but to keep it separately, I think we can absolutely take back this request if it's the direction of council and turn it around relatively quickly for you.
Sorry, is there any other questions? If not, we have an ask, and they're looking for direction from council.
Yeah, I will move that staff be directed to bring back a report in regard to the correspondence received from Adelaide Metcalfe.
Is there a seconder for that? Oh, are you seconding that? Okay, seconded by Councilor Clark. Is there any other discussion on it? If not, in favor? That is carried. Is carried. Our next one is D28, AOR's fall newsletter. And the last one is 29, letter from Watson and Watson. Anything on that? Seeing none, we need a motion to accept these reports. Moved by Councilor DeVitt, seconded by Councilor Burkhart Jessen. All in favor? Carried. And we got a rise from the Committee of the Whole, moved by Councilor Smibert, seconded by Councilor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. We need to motion to go into closed session, and that is for personnel matters. Councilor McMillan, I'm sorry, I mean, second, Councilor Smibert, all in favor?